Let's see some of this in action. And I'd like to introduce you to my partner in crime, Seh Guan. He's our solutions architect. And we are going to do a role play session here. Maybe for the next 10 minutes, very quickly we'll finish it. And this role play session here is where, I'm the customer. I have a lot of security challenges. I have looked at a lot of solutions from a lot of vendors, but there are a lot of things that I'm still not able to do. And Seh Guan is our expert from SUSE, and Seh Guan is going to address some of the concerns that I have today. So, Seh Guan, thanks for spending time to come to us. You had some things that you wanted to share with us about, right? Let me start.
Yeah, Vishal, I hear you. I heard your concern about, things about secure infrastructure, dynamic compliance, and zero trust. So these are all very critical stuff that we need to fix, right? So I am now going to introduce you a single platform, a single pane of glass to take charge of all your containers on the Kubernetes cluster. So do you want to find out more about?
Absolutely.
Great.
Let's go with it.
Yeah, so when you log into this web console over here, this is on the screen, you will be able to see the dashboard. So our product is called NewVector, and it is an end-to-end container security product. So secure all your containers within your environment. So when you log into NewVector, you will be able to see first and foremost the dashboard over here. So this will summarize everything within the cluster to let you have a good idea on what's happening within the cluster itself. So you can see from here the scoring over here. This is my demo cluster. It's meant to be poor. But in your cluster, you need to ensure that you have a good score, and the lesser the number, the better your cluster is secured. So aim for...
So Seh Guan, I know you have a lot to talk, but I don't have time. I'm a busy person, right? I'm the CTO. But
Okay.
One thing that my CISO always tells me that, hey, when it comes to security, can I have an easy way to figure out the state? So are you telling me 58, if I have something like 58, that means I really need to do something very quickly?
Yes, you're absolutely correct.
Okay,
Yeah.
so that's good. So now my CISO can, at one glance, have a metric that tells him that, hey, we need to really buck up because something is seriously wrong.
You are absolutely correct, Vishal.
Okay,
Yeah.
good. What else do we have to see here?
Yeah, so from the dashboard, there are other things that you can see. So these are the summary. If you want to see more about all these items, just scroll down and boom, everything is there. Ingress and egress exposure,
Okay.
critical runtime security events, top security events based on the source or destination, even the pods, right? So we talk about dynamic compliance. So at one glance, you will be able to see what are the pods that are vulnerable and what are not.
Okay, so from what I see, right, it's not just the top level view that I have. I can also drill down into other aspects of my cloud native infrastructure. And what I really like about is all this is graphical. Is this real dynamic graphics that will change?
Exactly.
Okay,
yes.
so this is fantastic.
Yep.
I want to ask you one thing, Seh Guan.
Yep.
I lead a team of cloud native developers, and my developers, when they build applications, they are taking software from all sources, images from here, projects from there. My concern is, how do I build a software supply chain that is secure? Is that something that I can use this for?
This is a very good question. So typically when we talk about Kubernetes, right, we are not just talking about the cluster itself, we are talking about the whole supply chain. So there are many components that's being attached to a single Kubernetes cluster. So we call that asset within NewVector. So let me go through the items over here. You can click on asset from the left menu, and then you can see the components of each of the assets. So for example, you can go into platform. So from a platform perspective, you will know that for this particular Kubernetes cluster, what is the platform that's running on top of, and whether is there any security issue. So this one, well done, no issue at all. We can also go to the nodes. So this is the host whereby it is used to provision the Kubernetes cluster itself. So you can see from here, you can look into every single node detail. And for every single node, you can look at whether there's any compliance issue or whether is there any vulnerability issue. So our platform not just look at anything above the Kubernetes layer, which is a container. We also look for things that's below the container layer, which is the host provisioning the Kubernetes cluster.
Okay, so from what I see here, and if you can go into containers, I'm very interested in the containers piece actually.
This is the most interesting thing.
Absolutely.
Yes. So we can go into every single container running within the cluster. And then let me scroll down, I think we zoom up a little bit too much. So you can go into any of the containers here. So probably for this case, I'll choose this MariaDB container. And from here, you will be able to see all the container details. You will be able to see whether is there any compliance issue with this particular container, whether is there any vulnerability issue. Everything at one glance from New Vector console.
Okay, hold your horses there, Seh Guan. I've heard of CVSS. So 7.2, if we have something like that, what does that actually mean?
I think you need to fix the issue as soon as possible.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay,
it's
okay.
definitely something that you must put your attention on to.
So this tool will tell me in a graphical way what this is, and then I will have a good idea. So that's great.
Exactly.
But let me tell you another thing. Like I mentioned, we have a lot of developers, and developers, what do they like to do most? They like to write code. They want to get the code shipped as fast as possible. They are not interested in the security aspects. I mean, I've been a developer for 15 years. But then how do we make sure that best practices like configuration and all that, because a lot of the times our issues is not about vulnerabilities. It's not done in the best practice manner. So you mentioned compliance. Is that something that can help us comply with certain best practices?
Yes, we shall definitely. So we have something over here that we can go into.
Right.
We can go into security risk over here, and then we can click on compliance. So again, at one glance, you will be able to see all the compliance issue that is potentially happening within your cluster. And generally, it is based on CIS benchmarking. So CIS is the industry standard that people use for compliance. And pertaining to Kubernetes, if we talk about other security regulation like HIPAA, NIST, GDPR, all these will fall into the subset of CIS. So as long as you have CIS regulation defined in over here, then all your regulations, all your other regulations could be covered.
So what you're saying is now, even if my developers overlook some of these issues, this particular solution, New Vector, can help pick that out.
Yes.
Okay, that's great. Then I'll have happy developers. And as it is, it's not easy to get developers. So this is great. Another thing I really want to ask you, something that you mentioned, and a lot of people told me, this whole big word, zero trust and blah, blah, blah. Is there anything that we can use? Because we really fear the unknown. I've been hearing a lot about ransomware attacks, zero-day vulnerabilities, and the like. Anything
Yes.
there?
So this is our bread and butter.
Oh,
so
okay,
when we
that's
talk about
great.
supply chain security, that one, a lot of vendors can do it quite well. So this is our key differentiator.
Okay.
So we can go into policy over here, and then we jump to something called groups. So you can see here, every time when you launch a new container or pods within the cluster itself, New Vector is smart enough to pick up the pod and then create rules around it. So for example, okay, let me scroll down a little bit more first. Just want to go to an application that I just launched. So WordPress application. So at one glance, you will see the number of containers that's running within this pod. We can also look at the process profile rules, and you can see that, wow, there's already many processes that's been defined within this container itself. At the same time, there are also things like file access rules and network rules that has been automatically learned.
So help me understand and tell me if I'm right here. What you're saying is, if I launch a new container application, New Vector will look at its behavior, what's happening. Over time, it will create rules automatically.
Yes.
And then you're saying you have this mode to monitor. So you'll monitor if something goes wrong, will it send an alert?
Yes.
Okay, so if something goes wrong, it sends me an alert, and I'm guessing the alert is to tell me that, hey, you may want to do something.
Yes.
And okay, so this is like dynamically trying to protect the system
Yes.
and intelligently understanding the behavior and coming out with all the rules.
Exactly.
So it's like coming out with the what's good, the whitelist, and then it will help us. Okay, that's great. Is there anything else here that I should be knowing?
So besides monitor mode, we can also put the cluster into protect mode, so that when anything happens outside of the norm, right, the action would not be performed within the cluster. So as Vishal has mentioned, monitor mode is to alert the user, but then the action will still continue to proceed. But if we put into protect mode, that's the most stringent. The action will not proceed, and there will be an alert sent to you. On top of that, you can also set response rule whenever something like this happens, so that New Vector can immediately put the container that has security issue onto something like quarantine so that you have time to patch that issue.
Okay, so let me give you a very simple scenario. I have some software and I just find out that there's a 0-day vulnerability there, a ransomware, a malicious code. Nobody knows about it. So what you are saying is because of this capability, because the software understands what the application should be doing, and if the ransomware tries to encrypt some files, it will not be able to encrypt it. Why? Because of the file access permissions we have set.
Exactly.
Well, that is fantastic because, my biggest problem, Seh Guan, is this. Everybody that I talk to, every vendor that I talk to, they say, I can do it, but not right now. Do it later. But what you are telling me is, even if I do not know something, I'm protected against it.
Yes.
That is very, very cool. Look, I got to rush off for another meeting, Seh Guan. I'm really keen to have more chat with you. I'll get my teams to meet up with you. Thank you very much. So ladies and gentlemen, thank you for your time, and Seh Guan, come over here. We are outside here. We have some real demos of the Log4j attack and other attack. If you want to see that in action, we can show that to you. But I'm giving you 6 minutes back so that we can have some good lunch. Thank you so much. Have a great rest of the day today. Thank you.
There we go.